Hello, Sagittarius. What does the new Sagittarius look like? Yes, Sagittarius, let's get into it. That portal is open. That total solar eclipse portal is open. That's right. We're coming up on a new moon and a total solar eclipse in Aries. That's right. We've been leading up to this. We've been just let's get into it. Let's get into it, Sagittarius. This card jumping out. Okay, the Eight of Pentacles came out. It wanted to hop out the deck like you gonna see me today. This is a general reading, Sagittarius, to take only what resonates with you. If you're interested in a personal reading, my information is down below in the description. That's right. That portal is open. That's right. Celebrate. Celebrate, celebrate, celebrate. It's a lot going on. Here we have the Eight of Pentacles. We also have the Death card. So we have the Four of Wands. We have the Knight of Wands. We have the Four of Swords, and then also everything is fine. So the Death card. Somebody used to spend an enormous amount of time thinking about possibly a family member that's a Taurus, Virgo, or Capricorn. But somebody says not anymore. Here we have the Four of Wands here. We also have the Knight of Wands here. We also have the Four of Swords here, and then also the everything is fine. Somebody used to have a great deal of time where you were thinking about like maybe nervous or scared that something was going to happen to somebody in your family or whatever, and sources say until you remember, oh, that's right, I can pray for them. I can pray for them. I can pray for family members instead of me worrying about things and getting burned out and all of that. I think a lot of people forget to take it back to basics. Like you can pray for people and meditate. I think it's the prayer part, but forgetting to meditate, which stresses people out. It's just prayer and meditation, right? So I definitely feel like somebody spent a lot of their time not taking leaps of faith because of fear, doubt, uncertainty, like new and exuberant love and possibly purchasing a property or doing something that you prayed for, whether it's purchasing property, moving to a new job, relocating, whatever. I feel like somebody had a lot of worries that if they moved on, that something really bad would happen, right? You come from a long line, looking at your cards here, of people who root for the underdog, or you kind of hang in there sometimes a little bit too much, over giving to people where you feel like they're kind of like at the lowest frequency, like they like falling down on hard times, or maybe people who are depressed, or those kind of things. So you kind of that person that kind of hangs out and just like, oh, I just want to make sure everybody's good and that kind of thing. So, but I feel like it's a family member that somebody was really worried about. Here we have the Page of Wands, the Six of Pentacles, the Wheel of Fortune. We also have the Hermit card. Here we have the Eight of Swords and also the Justice card, right? So yeah, so you decided to pray for people. You analyze. Somebody had to really sit down and see just kind of what kind of energy you were sending out into the universe, right? It's part of this Hermit card is attached to Virgo. We also have the Wheel of Fortune here. Somebody had to analyze themselves and like really sit down and analyze the messages that were coming in. Like, what were you sending out? Were you sending out message of fear, doubt, uncertainty to loved ones? And that was coming to them. It's like, okay, what are they? So, like sometimes your family member, they hold you in very high regard. It's kind of like being the prayer warrior. The family is like, okay, did Sagittarius see something I'm not seeing? And it can cause a lot of anxiety and fear in other people when they feel like, okay, well, why is Sagittarius nervous? Okay, I'm nervous. Now I'm nervous, right? And so sources teaching you how to analyze the energy you send out to the universe, so that you're not doing an injustice to yourself or doing an injustice to anybody else. You're not expecting people to carry your fear, doubt, uncertainty just because you may have had a dream or download or something like that. Here we have the Page of Wands. So I definitely feel like somebody's going to feel like a teenager again, because again, sending out prayers, you trust in God. Okay, God, I know, you have this under control. And also telepathy is another way, like meditation. And here we have the Six of Pentacles and also the Eight of Swords. Yeah, somebody was having some really, like, you don't want to sabotage yourself. Eight of Swords is really about self-sabotage. You don't want to say or do something that's going to cause people fear, anxiety, anger, frustration, like they can't think for themselves and that kind of thing. So I definitely feel like, somebody may have had something that was court related that's now over, and you feel very fortunate that something was over. And also you could have been carrying other people's emotional baggage too. almost doing an injustice to yourself outside of your family. You could have been carrying somebody else's, emotional baggage or burden for a while. But now, again, you're saying that's not my responsibility. I'm moving forward. Here's the Four of Pentacles too. So I definitely feel like somebody is thinking more along the lines of who you want to build legacy with, and not doing an injustice to yourselves by carrying other people's emotional baggage. So it had to start in your family first and then kind of sort of work itself out, so maybe not holding your other friends, emotional baggage and those kind of things. Here we have the Seven of Swords. So somebody has definitely learned how to create a strategy, to move forward. And the strategy is increasing your prayer life, thanking Source in advance that everything is okay. So kudos and congratulations to you. It sounds so simple, right, Sagittarius, that, you may have been worried about loved ones. Then we also have the God card, right? You may have been worried about loved ones or in some way, shape, form, or fashion that they were being bullied or those kind of things. But Source is saying you're teaching people how to tap into Source within them as well, so that they can also, gain clarity when it comes to some things. Again, because this isn't just, it didn't start with just you. You have a loved one who transitioned on the other side. Just like, you don't want to create any kind of fear, doubt, uncertainty. And so, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Lots of lessons being learned. Here we have the Wheel of Fortune. Again, Wheel of the Year. So two situations in particular, somebody definitely feels very fortunate. Somebody may have done some kind of an injustice to you in some way, shape, form, or fashion. But now where you are, when you went to the master teacher, right? You're not bowing down to mankind. You're saying, okay, hey, that's a, let me see. Yeah, somebody said, somebody's saying, okay, you're very important of who you build a legacy with. That's the main thing. It's two situations in particular you feel very fortunate to have been able to move on from. So here we have the Princess of Swords here. So it's a lot of sword energy here, a lot of thinking about a lot of different things. Your wishes are actually being fulfilled. And let's see what else we got going on here. This is good. This is really, really good. Somebody, like I said, justice is in somebody's favor as far as two situations are concerned. And Source just wants you to just, move on from the overthinking. Try to move on from the overthinking as much as you can, because when you got, when you're trying to gain clarity for some things, it can cause you to sabotage in many different ways. Yeah. It can cause you to sabotage in a whole lot of different ways. You end up saying something like, "Oh my God, I had a dream that you died last night." Like those movies, like the movie Final Destination, where they were creating. If you all are familiar with you're creating this mass hysteria that, "Oh my God, I had this dream, I had this download." Make sure So again, having conversations with people, saying, "Hey, just the way you communicate with people." Where's the card? Give them an opportunity to trust Source, just like, look at things from a different perspective, like helping people to see it through a different lens in a very cool, calm, and collected way, so that they're taking a leap of faith and they're not taking a leap of fear, because you've learned how to take a leap of faith and not a leap of fear, right? So they can get their wishes fulfilled. So here we have the Four of Swords. So you're giving people an opportunity to make their own decisions, loved ones. Just like like I said, you got some energies on the other side that's helping you to be fair-minded and diplomatic. Here we also have the King of Cups here. So you're encouraging people to pour into themselves first, emotionally, to pour into themselves, but also teaching people to have a good heart, like over givers, over nurturers, to not overgive to a point where they end up hurting themselves because their head and their heart are so big that they overdo it, and then, end up hurting themselves in that sense. Here we also have the Queen of Swords here. We also have the Page of Swords here. We also have the Five of Pentacles here, right? So, yeah, so you're helping people to recognize that people may have talked negatively about them not being as smart. Like I feel like you've imparted wisdom and knowledge on loved ones that says, when you overdo it, when you overgive of yourself, people really don't see you as a person who is really that smart. Like you just don't have I don't know why people still equate people with good hearts with not being smart. You know what I'm saying? Like you can be very intelligent, but somehow people feel like if you're always available and you're an overgiver, that you be willing to cut into your time even if they've talked negatively about you or even entertain trash talking. So yeah. So you're not doing an injustice to yourself when you know that some people are gossipers. You only want you and you pass that wisdom and knowledge on to other people. Here we also have the Four of Wands. So essentially, you feel like a huge weight has been lifted off of your shoulders because you're teaching people how to pray ahead of time so that they're not preyed on, right? Again, when you have people who have big hearts, who love deep and they love hard, and you've been taken advantage of. Looking at the cards here, because of your big heart, you're an overgiver of thought, head and heart being at war with each other. When you see that other people are following that same pattern, like maybe in your friendship or your family or love interest, you're just telling them in a very gentle way, like, when you always overgiving, you leaving yourself wide open for self-sabotage. Even if people are creating a codependency, right, where people think, okay, oh, they so nice, they're not going to see people operating in a lower frequency, gossiping about them. They're not hearing things. They're just not, because they just want to be a part of something, right? So even people, a bunch of trash talking. And so here, Nine of Cups. And so two situations in particular, like I said, you're teaching people how to get what they want, right? Not cutting into their time, especially when they around people who talk negatively about them. Two of Wands here. And to get back in the saddle again. So we got 4 and 4 is 8, right? 4 and 4 is 8. And then we got 2. So I see you being booked and busy and not burdened at all. Just kind of sort of teaching people how to stay away from, situations where they end up sabotaging themselves because they didn't think it through. Sometimes sometimes you need to get out of your head and say, okay, God, help me make some things make sense. If I'm the one that's over giving and it's not being reciprocated, then that's a setup for failure right there, because people automatically think, okay, they have a good heart. You know what I'm saying? You know what it is. So yeah, so I feel like you're getting your wishes fulfilled. Other people are getting their wishes fulfilled. But, practice that when you have dreams and downloads about people, Sagittarius, to like pay attention to that, because all of those are messages. So if you got loved ones and you had a dream about a death, it doesn't always mean a physical death. It could just mean, maybe they need to stop over giving and start thinking, for themselves. You know what I'm saying? Here we also have the Magician card. Yep. So remember, you're teaching people how to like look at things through a critical lens. Like, okay, some people are on the dark side of the number 4, right? Some people are like, it's my way or the highway. As long as Sagittarius is giving, 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 I'll keep taking, 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 right? But when you realize that you have the opportunity to land on the light side of 4 Sagittarius, and you say, okay, you know what? Hey, if I'm not always giving and that means people are going to cut me off, then okay, I'm still a divine being of light who's having a human experience, right? And so that's just a part of life. Some people are so used to you giving, 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 that on the rare occasion that you can't give, and you could be nervous that maybe they're not going to be my friend anymore, maybe they're going to cut me off, whatever. That's not something you want to pass down to your kids, your mentees, your students. You don't even want to pass that down to your inner child anymore. So Source is saying, when you are a person who has a big heart, that's how you can help some of your friends. A lot of times people don't think that they have anything valuable to impart wisdom and knowledge on people, but that's very valuable. Don't be always the one that's always giving, giving, giving. And then when it's time for somebody else to balance it out to be in receiving mode, then they almost feel like, okay, well, I mean, I don't have anything. They can't even be creative enough to come up with something to give back. So that's how your wishes are being fulfilled and somebody else's wishes are being fulfilled. So you're just teaching people, stop overthinking things. You got to prove to people that you're a good person. Just be one. Yep. So here's the Knight of Wands again. So successfully, you've been able to help some people to get away from, that You help people to stay focused on their ideas and stay laser focused on their ideas. Yeah, you help people to stay laser focused on their ideas, right? And move on from the depth of disappointment they may have had in some things. When you're dealing with people who have been severely hurt by people, they have almost become desensitized to their own pain, if that makes any sense, right? They don't even realize they're sabotaging themselves by staying connected, to just this whole mindset that I gotta be, I gotta, I gotta be wherever people want them to be. They don't even see it that way, because they've been so hurt themselves. They don't even see it as self-sabotage. But because you may have gone there, been through that before, you're teaching other people, hey, listen, don't put yourself in a position that you're always the one that's racing to everybody else's aid. You're always the one that's got the big head, big heart, and you always got to do X, Y, and Z. So all of this overthinking will grossly cut into your money, grossly cut into your legacy, and all of that. So yeah, that's what I'm saying for you, Biff. So it's not something you want to pass down to your kids or, like I said, your students, your mentees, let alone your own inner child. Here we have the Seven of Cups here. So, yep. So there's a lot of temptation around that. Like I said, when you got a big heart and just in your bloodline to give, super, super give every single time, it's tempting to not. You have to literally be mindful and stop yourselves, Sagittarius. So when you pass that down, when you pass that knowledge and wisdom down to your friends and stuff, and you're telling them, hey, your anxiety will go away very, very soon. Because it's a lot of it is how you tell them. People don't want to feel like they stupid. Like, okay, why don't you see that every time you give, people keep taking advantage of you? That's going to make them want to do it even more, because now they feel like you had to hit them with the sword and like they're stupid. So, of course, they may be rebellious. So Source is saying to you, whatever anxiety you may have been having about something happening to somebody or doing some kind of injustice or some kind of injustice being done to them that would affect a loved one, you're learning how to say it, like helping them to sit on their throne and adjust their crown and recognize their power and their intellect. And there's nothing wrong with having a good heart and being a giver, but don't put yourself in a position where you become the fall guy because you're such a good heart and you just want everybody to, like you and this kind of stuff. So that's what I'm saying for you all. All right. Good. This is good stuff, Sagittarius. Good stuff. Yeah. So this would be a perfect time to share the questions for the moon and Aries with you. First question is, are you struggling with low self-worth, right? So if you're no longer struggling with low self-worth and you connected to a loved one who wants to be connected to people and they feel like people have talked about them and they got to show people that they're a good heart. Maybe they're trying to change a reputation of them being cutthroat around, right? Maybe they're trying to prove to people that they're not a cutthroat person, that they have a good heart, that they've been taken advantage of. You can tell them, no, you don't have to prove to anybody. If people are committed to believing the worst about you, okay, let them believe the worst about you. Just cut them off and continue. We got almost 9 billion people on the planet. So I feel like you, Sagittarius, may have recognized that in somebody else. I don't feel like you are the one who now has a problem with overgiving. So correct me if I'm wrong, but this is what I'm picking up from your cards. But I feel like you may have had, because you've had some injustices done to you in the past, I feel like you may be imparting this wisdom onto somebody else. So the second question is, are you procrastinating, perhaps stuck in a relationship or a situation at home or at work that you're not happy with? The third question is, are you repressing your emotions and feelings and consequently feeling resentful? The fourth question is, are you holding yourself back, paralyzed in unconscious fear that stops you from taking the leap into the unknown? And then last but not least is, if you had known that you were fully supported, what would you do? Like I said, you have a lot of ancestors around you, and how you're teaching people how not to overdo it when it comes to proving to people that they're a good person. You don't need to do all of that. You don't need to do all of that. Some people, they still stuck in this, well, I got to show everybody that I'm worthy and I'm good enough and I just want to be a part of this and that. And you're saying, no, you don't. Nope, no, you don't, because that's how people take advantage of people. Oh, they just want to be a part of something. Okay, so let's put some rules in place and see how many hoops they gonna jump through just to be a part of something. You're telling people, oh, you don't have to do all of that. Just be a good person. If you're a good person, just be one, right? So I feel like, you're not worried anymore because of the conversation you may have had with some people, Sagittarius, is that they don't even have to overthink it, just keep sharpening their wisdom and knowledge. You're helping people to learn how to balance things out without doing an injustice to themselves, anymore. So, all right. You have the gift of precognition, the gift of foreknowledge. So you know things ahead of time. That's why I say I feel like this reading for you, Sagittarius, is not so much for you, like it's happening to you. I feel like because you have the gift of foreknowledge, you can tell people how the end is going to be if they keep over giving, and going around people, and they have all this scent of hurt, like that hurt gives off a scent. And that's how people attract narcissistic energy. So you have the gift of precognition. So you're teaching people how to adjust their crown, just like you've learned how to adjust your crown. You are an answered prayer. So somebody wants to call you, but they haven't changed. So just go ahead and close out the cycle. It's time to expand your brand. You're healing from the pain some people caused in the past. They are not happy without you. And so you got to ask yourself, at what age did your parents work on their shadow self? And at what age did you work on your shadow self? That's also very important too, because if it was passed down to you through this bloodline, is that you hang in there with people who have fallen down to a point where you feel like you got to be their bodyguard. Where does it, and people know that you're an overgiver. They don't want to have a problem with taking your time. Like, oh, I know no matter what, Sagittarius will answer the phone. Oh, I no matter what my situation is, Sagittarius will come running. I don't care how far the distance is, and I don't care how much money Sagittarius had to pay for something. I know Sagittarius will be there. So it's just like, well, they about to know something different. Right? So you are imparting that wisdom and knowledge onto people, Sagittarius, and that's invaluable information to help people to find their throne adjust their crown and protect their peace and recognize that their peace is paramount. So somebody apologizes for betraying you. And so everything is in moderation, including overgiving. You can have a big heart. So I wouldn't advise people to just start cutting people off, but you can also start the process of scaling back. You don't always have to be available to people every single time their phone call, just because people know that you're dependable. You have to retrain people. You have to, while you're retraining yourself. It's okay. Sometimes that phone won't ring. Sometimes you won't be invited to stuff, and that's okay. But then you got to look at it and say, well, were they pouring into me like I was pouring into them anyway? If they weren't, you haven't lost anything, right? And if they get upset because you are not as available as you used to be, then guess what? Then hey, it was time to close out the cycle anyway. Like, it has to be balanced out. Everything on this planet serves a purpose, and so Source is saying you're gonna feel very fortunate that things have happened to you. Like you were the pioneer. You were the one that broke the generational cycle, chains, and curse. So Source is saying now that you have that wisdom and knowledge of teaching other people not to do an injustice to themselves, you can pass that wisdom and knowledge on to them. Therefore, it's a win-win, right? On both sides. So both sides of the scale. So whatever you prayed for, Source is like, I'm about to bless you with two major prayers that you prayed for, because you're taking the time during Mercury retrograde to slow down and absorb these messages that God is. And so Source is saying the way you're explaining to people are such a meticulous and clear and concise way. It doesn't come across as being judgmental. It's just more or less like, hey, have you considered this? Have you considered that you're always the one that's available whenever people need you to come running? But can you count how many times on one hand, how, when you needed something done to help you, where were they? That's not you being messy. It's you just helping people to do critical thinking on their own, So that's what I'm saying for you all, Sagittarius. What a great friend, whether it's family friend, love interest friend, just what a great friend I'm seeing that you're being, because some people are cutthroat. Some people don't care if you give your last dime and you're about to be set out on the front lawn or the front grass. They'll take your last dime and they'll be like, okay, well, I mean, nobody told you to give it to me. You did. I thought you gave it out of the kindness of your heart. They got what they needed, but then you left without anything, right? So that's what you're trying to help somebody, with. So here we have wisdom. You're trying to help them to increase their wisdom and know their worth, and also to add tax. That's very important too, because people sit around and talk trash about people. They just bring trash from one thing to the next. And so, like I said, you're getting your wishes fulfilled. They're getting their wishes fulfilled. And you're right there at that vault door. See, what I'm looking at here is this is like a parallel thing. It's like, how people have talked negatively about you, that, oh, you would have been homeless, you didn't have this, you used to sleep on the air mattress, you didn't have this, you didn't have a place to go, you used to live under a bridge. You remember people used to talk about you when you were struggling, right? And so I feel like there's a loved one who may also be struggling, maybe not the same type of struggle that you have, but you're also teaching them, that they don't need to give everybody access to their vault. They don't need to give people access to their vault. Some people like to keep people levels below them so they can know that sleeping on an air mattress, don't have a cell phone, barely can pay your rent. They won't help you. They feel much better, like they feel at an elevated space because, hey, at least they got more than you do. So Source is just saying, you're learning how to go through a rebirth here. Number 6, through the darkness, I crossed and still found myself in the presence of life. You're just teaching people to balance things out. You're just teaching people how to balance things out in love. So, yeah. Some people like to keep people levels below them, but as soon as you get to a place where people never expected for you to be, that's when you'll know. Were people praying for you, or were they praying on you? So you're not doing any more of an injustice to yourself. No more. And you're teaching other people not to do that either. So what do you need to release? That's right. What do you need to release? And so again, for some of you all who could be in that situation, it could be overthinking things. It really should be this simple from now on, looking at your cards. And I feel like this is going to be the super new you. If you're in situations where you're over giving thought to stuff, where people are just, other people are benefiting from your big heart, but you feel like, okay, you're wringing your hands together. You still hurt, you confused, don't know what's going on, who they let bring trash to them about you. I feel like moving forward, this is going to be the super new you, Sagittarius. First of all, you're making a bold declaration that you're no longer doing an injustice to yourself by carrying other people's emotional baggage, right? Their hurt, their pain, their, whatever their emotional baggage is. Another thing, I feel like somebody is praying ahead of time for clarity, right? And so you're literally sitting down with a spreadsheet, person by person, and saying, okay, I'm weighing the pros and cons. Am I carrying other people's emotional baggage? And if I've been carrying people's emotional baggage for any length of time, it's one thing to hold space, Sagittarius, but there's another thing to hold their baggage, because it becomes almost expected, right? Every time they call, you come running like a person who is just like a shadow. And so sources say you're teaching other people how to not to do that. So you could be a parent, a grandparent, a great grandparent. You're teaching people it has to be balanced out, where you're not carrying other people's expectations of you, always being there for them. So yeah. Yep. All right, Sagittarius, this is good. This is good. Really, really good. Number 8, I am abundant. Yeah, you've definitely become abundant in knowledge and wisdom, right? Just about how you're imparting that wisdom and knowledge onto other people just to teach them in a very loving way. So as you focus on all the wonderful things that surround you, Sagittarius, you're clearing the path for more positive energy to flow into all areas of your life and creating a place for abundance. That's right. I am abundant, right? So when we look at this very rich legacy that you're teaching people that they have multiple streams of income in them too. They're incredibly smart. They're very wise. If they don't have to overthink things, just think, is it in imbalance, right? You're teaching people not to put other people on a pedestal above them. Is it in imbalance? Right? The same 24 hours that you have in a day to build a very rich legacy for yourself, you're teaching people that they have the same 24 hours in a day to start thinking about aligning themselves with people who are pouring back into them and doing for them just like they're doing for them. So that's what you're helping people to do. Yeah. Because like I said, some people, as long as you levels below them, it's all good. Okay. I'll throw you a couple of crumbs, but nothing that's going to really change your life. There's no impartation of wisdom, knowledge, no nothing. It's just like, okay, so source is saying those people already know what their worth is. And some people use their power for good, some people use their power for evil, and evil would be not genuinely trying to help you to get to the next level. It's just more or less like, okay, here's some crumbs. So here we have integrity. So I choose my words wisely. My words are creating my reality. My speech matches my action. I keep promises to myself. I am consistent. I am punctual. I accept the moment. I resonate with the highest truth. So, like I said before, you're teaching people how to do the mirror work. You're teaching people, you're empowering people, Sagittarius, by letting them know, hey, listen, everybody on this planet has a purpose, and that God will make room for those gifts. Do the mirror work. Get up, set an intention, be in a posture of gratitude that you're still breathing. It's never too late to start a goal. Those kind of things that I feel like you're imparting, because it is very tempting to vibrate back on that lower frequency after people have had a Kundalini experience, and like, okay, people think, okay, they either I feel like somebody feels like either I'm like, when I look at this, I really don't feel like it's you, Sagittarius. I feel like it's a loved one. So again, correct me. I mean, if you feel like you're going through something similar to this, or you could have already gone through something like this, but I feel like it's a loved one that's going through this, right? And you're teaching them not to self-sabotage, because if you're in a space where people have already talked trash about people and you keep going back around those spaces, you're essentially your intentions may be sincere, like this is what you're passing on to a loved one. I feel like Sagittarius, that their intentions may be sincere, but you never know what people's mental state is, especially if people have been talking a bunch of trash and people are mad and frustrated. And you never know who knows whom, and you can be walking right into an ambush. And I feel like that's exactly what you're imparting onto people. It's like, no, you don't have to give. Once people are committed to believing the worst about you, just leave that bridge burn and move on. You don't have anything. And that's what this Kundalini experience is. Once people are either saying you're a snake or you believe they're a snake, it's best to move on. Keep your vibrations high, so that these blessings can come across your path. But, I feel like you're teaching people wisdom based on what you've had to learn wisdom. You've had to learn, how to be wise, move in a room filled with snakes and be wise enough to make it out of a situation and say, oh, okay, no, I'm not available this time, those kind of things. So that's what I have for you. Hopefully this has been helpful to you, but I feel like that is the new you, is that because you've learned how to not go along with everybody's flow and just want to be connected to people who they've been talking trash about you or entertaining trash talking about you. I feel like that's the wisdom and knowledge that you're imparting onto other people, because it can be dangerous. When people are talking trash, you don't know. I'm telling you, you don't know what people's mental state is. If people are snake and they feel like they need to get their lick back, it could be somebody totally unsuspecting that you even know. And so when you impart that wisdom and knowledge onto a loved one, and you give them a chance to think, not by yelling and screaming and sword fighting, but now they just feel like, okay, they just looking for any feel good and they walk right into an ambush situation. You're teaching people, hey, listen, you are just as valuable. Like, are you being valued the way that you value other people? Are you putting all of these people on this pedestal, and it's not across the, from their throne to your throne? Are they looking down? Are you talking down? Are you talking negative? That kind of stuff. So that's what I'm saying for you. I see somebody getting some fresh air and teaching other people that you need a whole new set of energies to connect with. Get away from those trash talking, gossipy. So that means, because somebody could be relocating. It could mean a whole lot of things, because we started out here with this four of cups. Four of wands here, and then also the two of wands. So you have a lot of opportunities coming your way, just as whoever you're imparting wisdom and knowledge. Lots of opportunities. You're building your legacy. A lot of people's legacy you don't want to align yourself with. Bottom line is, when you're operating in purpose, the whole world actually benefits. But I see you building your own legacy and staying away from some, you know, pretty vicious types of energies. Just staying away from some stuff. And you're teaching other people that the things can come to them when they balance things out. So that's what I have for you. I will see you all in the next reading. Thank you for joining me again. Happy solar eclipse, total solar eclipse. The vault is open. We have a total solar eclipse and also a new moon in Aries, right? So you're teaching people how to spring forward and not fall back into that same, they got to wait till something really bad happens until they believe it. And now it makes them feel even worse because they feel like, okay, I wasn't smart enough to see it. What's wrong with me? I forgave people. How come? Because I'm nice. How come other people are still hurting? Like I healed from something. Like, don't they understand? That's how super nice people are. They just like, you know, it wasn't personal. I was going through some stuff. I was dealing with loss of loved ones, and they didn't see, why, that I was hurting, and other people knew that I was dealing with the loss of loved ones. And some people are just so vindictive, they don't care. So when you can have an opportunity to impart that wisdom and knowledge onto people, Sagittarius, do it. If God tells you, hey, call that relative and say, hey, I noticed that you've been hanging around some kind of friends and it seems like you always the one that's doing X, Y, and Z. They may see it as negative at first, but the way you word it is going to make a big difference to them, a person who is already hurting. If you're saying it in a very empowering way, they'll be so grateful for you. That's like, you know what? I never looked at it that way. So thank you for saying it to me that way. And it just, like I said, you can get your rest at night because now you're not worried about them. That's what I have for you. I'll see you all in the next reading. Bye.